States, there's been more emerging news since the attempted assassination on former U.S. President Donald Trump in Pennsylvania on Saturday. The former president said earlier today he's supposed to be dead, calling it a miracle he's still alive. He also says he will bring the country together at the Republican convention this week. The former president is not expected to speak at the convention in Milwaukee until Thursday night. While Trump says he will not allow potential assassins to change his plans, he does, however, say that he wants to strike a different tone in this historic moment. Casualties from Saturday's shooting at the Trump rally were one bystander who was killed and two others who were seriously injured. The man who was killed was a 50-year-old volunteer fire chief who was an avid supporter of Trump. He'd been excited about attending the Pennsylvania rally. David Dutch was a longtime employee of Siemens Technology Company and a longtime supporter of Trump, while James Copenhaver was a registered Democrat. In the meantime, authorities are trying to piece together what led to the shooting on Saturday. Many questions remain about the man identified as the culprit, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. Attention has also turned to the Secret Service and their role in preventing such a dangerous person from entering the rally. They've said they will participate fully in probes announced by President Joe Biden and members of Congress. The FBI says it's investigating the incident at the rally, and President Biden says it's ordered an independent review, while Republican lawmakers have vowed swift investigations. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle says the agency is increasing security for the Republican presidential candidate and for the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, which begins today. She says the agency has implemented changes to Trump's security detail since Saturday to ensure his protection during the convention and the remainder of the campaign. Well, Russian President Vladimir Putin, whom former President Donald Trump had admired while in office, says he has not contacted Trump following the assassination attempt and had no plans to do so. Asked if security measures around President Putin will now be beefed up given what's happened in the U.S., Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said the Russian leader already enjoys the appropriate level of protection. The Kremlin said on Sunday it did not believe the U.S. administration was responsible for Saturday's assassination attempt on Trump, but accused it of creating an atmosphere that provoked the attack. The Russian president was certainly not in the same category with other world leaders, including Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, who condemned the attempted assassination on former U.S. President Donald Trump. Trump sustained just a graze on his right ear before being whisked away to safety. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu has joined other world leaders to condemn the assassination attempt on former U.S. President Donald Trump in Pennsylvania on Saturday. President Tinubu's comments were made on social media. He described the attack as distasteful and said it goes beyond the pale of democratic norms, adding that violence has no place in democracy.
Take a look at what happened.
The former president was addressing a rally of supporters in Butler, Pennsylvania, when the shots rang out. Secret Service immediately covered the former president, bringing him to the ground before planning his escape. Trump was not shot, but a bullet grazed his right ear. He later posted on Truth Social, thanking the U.S. Secret Service and all law enforcement for their rapid response. Police later said the suspected shooter, identified as 20-year-old Thomas Crooks, was shot and killed by Secret Service. One eyewitness said he had seen a man with a rifle crawling on the roof before shots rang out and that he tried to warn police. Another said it was surreal.
So I heard the first shot, and as soon as I heard that first shot, I turned over and I looked at Trump, and then I heard two more. It was like bang, bang, bang. It was like three right in a row. I looked at Trump, and I saw him looking, and I saw him drop to the ground.
2 people were shot and are receiving treatment in hospital, but volunteer fire chief Corey Comperatore was killed after he dived on his family to protect them. President Joe Biden condemned the shooting and said he would speak to Trump.
The Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate.
Vice President Kamala Harris posted on social media condemning the senseless shooting, as did former U.S. President Barack Obama. More reactions on social media came from the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Both said the violence is unacceptable and sent Trump their best wishes. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a video message condemning the shooting, which he described as an attempt to assassinate American democracy. Even Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in his nightly video message on Saturday that he was appalled by the attempt on Trump's life. He also wished the former president a speedy recovery. The news transcended the United States and was reported by major news networks around the world. As many Trump supporters come to terms with the attempted assassination, many rallied outside the Trump Tower in New York on Sunday in solidarity with their political leader. I want to bring in now security expert Temitope Aludo. He joins us from London. Mr. Aludo, thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
It's always great to have you. Let's dive right in. Do you believe, like some of the skeptics do, that this attack could have been staged?
There are many theorists out there, or stories out there, but I believe a lot of people are referring to the incident that happened on the 18th of June 2016, when a British national in Vegas decided to pull the gun off a serving police officer to try and assassinate Trump, then a candidate in the election. And because of that, a lot of people are drawing comparison between such incident happening just as it's about to go into an election. But I would say that I do not believe that is the case in this situation. This individual had about 150 meters sight. For people that work within the security services, they understand that the security around the president is not foolproof. It's not fully foolproof. Let's be honest with ourselves, because they have to use local security agencies also, and that particular area needed to be mounted by the security of that particular town. And I believe that's where the slack is. But of course, there is a lot of conversation going on. But I do not believe in the skeptic that believe that he has staged his own, assassination. I do not ascribe to that.
Well, just to further buttress their point, an eyewitness did notice the shooter on a roof, call the attention of, the security agents, who probably ignored what he was saying, and then, the shots rang out shortly after that. How do you explain the lapse, in security coverage for the former president at that point?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that even the Marine people that are trained, they could shoot as much as between 200 to 500 meters. This guy, we know his history now from what we've been told, that he's a loner. He couldn't even make the rifle club in his school. But he's a loner. America is a country that has more guns than the population of 300 million. So anything like that will happen. Maybe something like that might not happen in the UK, but definitely, in America, where everybody has guns, it's possible. But also, it's important to highlight that there is a bubble around the president. It's important that there is a group that is always around the president, which are the people that actually move very quickly. There is the states, and they will have looked at all the different areas around, the venue. Why that particular area was left out we are left to be told. And we're looking forward to that explanation. We know the FBI is looking into it. We know that the state security services themselves are actually investigating, what has happened. And we know that even the U.S. Congress have called for an investigation, unlike the ones in Nigeria where even the convoy of Nigerian president was attacked and we've not heard anything about it. There was no investigation, nothing like that, at least for us in the public to know about. So I think we should give credit to the fact that there is an ongoing investigation. And unlike in other countries where such information is kept as secret, this information will be left out, will be put into the public domain, and people could learn from it. And if people's head need to roll as a result of this lapse, we will see it, unlike in other climates where things happen and it just goes under the carpet.
We'll revisit the issue of security here in Nigeria in just a bit. But I just wanted to also point out that this is the former president of the United States. So you may be right about, him not having, a full security team, surrounding him at this point. But many have also criticized the former president raising his fist in the air. That's after he was grazed by the bullets and then after having, Secret Service around him. What do you think was the kind of message that he was trying to pass across, and what sort of image do you think that this portrays? Because this is also one of the images is fueling, the criticism and the skepticism around whether or not this was staged.
This is a man that has always been in the media. And for many that follow him for many of us that work within this cycle, we've seen his picture fixed into that of Schwarzenegger. We've seen his picture, put with Rambo and all those kind of things. So if there's an opportunity for him, to have his own picture, actually right there instead of his image superimposed on other superheroes. I've seen his picture, as a Superman, his people saying Rambo and things like that. This is an opportunity for him to do that. And I believe because he's a showman, he would want to take advantage of the opportunity. Any normal person will not do that. On a normal day, in fact, if you listen to his interview that is given recently, he said that he didn't want to be carried out of the stage because he doesn't want to be carried out as if he's an injured man. That was why he was looking for a shoot. Our mindset is always different. People think differently. I don't know why he's done that. We might have to ask him, or people might ask him in the future. But I believe, as far as I'm concerned, it's not actually appropriate that he should have put his hand up and said, fight, fight, fight. What are you fighting? The rhetoric need to be put down. But unfortunately, we're in a situation where we're talking about American politics. And like I said earlier, where there are more guns in the country than the population of the nation.
I'll tell you, the picture that came to mind, when I saw what happened to the former president on the stage there in Pennsylvania. I had flashbacks of attempted assassinations or assassinations of former U.S. presidents. Just to mention a few, the famous John F. Kennedy's own assassination in Dallas, Texas in 1963. There was also other U.S. presidents, just to name a few: Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, Franklin Roosevelt. And I just want to ask if America, if it does appear that America is returning to those times of political intolerance.
There's no doubt in my mind that it's not just America alone, but across the world there seems to be the tuning of political violence that is upcoming. Even in the UK, where we just finished our election, there have been reports of political violence. But political violence, whether it's shouting at people, pouring milkshake at them, which would have been an acid, God forbid, is political violence, whichever way you look at it. And it's going on and on all over the world now. And there is need for political leaders to come out and say there is no place for violence in political and in political election. I think we all need to start, looking at having politics and, practicing politics the way it should be practiced. It's whoever wins, whoever the people decided to select. Like the UK Prime Minister just said, "I'm sorry that we've disappointed you, and that we, there is there might be another 4 years. You might have another opportunity, but you do not need to bring in violence into an election. And I think that is where even President Biden needs to tone down his rhetoric. The president, Donald Trump, also needs to tone down his rhetoric. Every one of them needs to calm down, because we don't need another assassination of a U.S. president.
Yes, and the Secret Service role in this, of course, comes to question again. Even at the point where they're trying to get him off the stage, he's actually open, to, if there was a second shooter on the scene, he definitely would have taken the former president out. Just wanted to point that out.
I agree.
The Secret Service also says they're beefing up security around him, especially for the Republican convention this week, and then for the rest of the campaign. I'm also wondering, what about the U.S. president? What about, other public figures, other political public figures in the United States? Should they also consider reviewing their security apparatus, their security architecture, and all of that, especially during this campaign season? I know that some people do blame Trump, for the rhetoric that's going on in the U.S. And because of lax gun laws and all of that, that may have also contributed to what we're seeing today. But security-wise, sorry, I say we, not American, but shouldn't they also be considering beefing up security for other public service holders?
There's no doubt in my mind that is going on as we speak. But we should understand that this is America. They have the technology, they have the capacity to look at to use intelligence as the basis for which they will determine who should get support. And that has also been done in the UK when one of our MP was sadly killed. Our MPs were given the opportunity to have additional support, security protection, which is available there. So in some states, it's funny we're talking about America, where the convention is going on, has started today, and is only the area where the convention is going on that guns have been restricted. Every other places, even 100 meters away from there, people can still carry guns on their body. So it's I don't know why. And even with this incident that happened, you will notice that both the Republican and the Democrat have decided not to talk about gun control. And that is something that any one of us that live outside America will wonder, why will you guys still continue to consider or to hold this secret that nobody should touch your constitution? I think the Constitution of America needs to be amended with regard to weaponry. I honestly believe that, because you have people knock on somebody's door and they pull a gun and shoot at them, and we have stories and stories and stories, and yet the gun laws have not been amended in such a way radically to ensure safety and security of people.
Well, people who have been unaffected, it seems, by mass shootings in the U.S. have been a number of them right from the time of President Barack Obama, even up until now. There have been a number of mass shootings in the U.S. And then, with every shooting, there are calls for, new stricter restrictions on gun laws and all of that, and still nothing is done. But let's bring this home now. There have been countless political assassinations in this part of the world. And while be careful not to encourage any copycats, what should be the standard procedure for protecting public office holders?
The Nigerian situation is a paradox. But for me, I don't know how they do it, because if it's based on how we understand intelligence and the world, baseline, you know that Nigeria does not even have the appropriate security for politicians. The president is protected because they threw a number of people there. A lot of Nigerians will see motorcade of 150 cars, 70 cars following the roads are blocked and things like that. But that's not the way you actually do modern protection. And I'm not knocking DSS or knocking the security services. I know that the individuals are well trained. Some of them have been trained in Israel. They have the capacity to do it. It's just that the institution itself is just moving at a snail approach. Unfortunately, we have governors that have been running for their life, like the governor of Benue State. We have the governor of Borno State, almost assassinated at one point. We have the motorcade of the president, but former President Buhari attacked before he came into power. Came into power as a civilian president, and even when he was in power, there was an attack on his convoy, on his decoy convoy, and yet we've not had anything. Many people were killed. Nothing was said about it. You have just reported the names of the people that were killed in the rally and the people that are injured. Nothing was mentioned of the names of the people that were killed during the motorcade attack. Nothing. It's only in Nigeria that you don't even know the identity of the people involved in any attack, and everything is kept on the carpet. So how do you review? How do you understand what to improve? And that's the challenge we have with our security services. It's not the individuals who are actually my colleagues that are very good and have got the training. I think it's just the way in which the institution, is developed and improved is very, very poor.
Yeah, and even poorer is the way security is for even the common man. I don't know how many people can actually walk up to a police station and ask for help and really get the help at the time that it is needed. And then there's also extrajudicial killings by the Nigeria police and so on. Our security architecture definitely has to be overhauled, right?
I totally agree with that. And I believe, even though there is a debate that is ongoing about state policing and things like that, I think what we need is people-led policing rather than the top-down approach that is adopted. I've never had the confidence of walking up to a policeman to shake their hands on the street of Lagos or Abuja to say, I want to take a picture with them, but I could do that anywhere else in the world. And this is the kind of thing that the Nigerian Inspector General of Police should look at. The UK Commissioner of Police goes out to do arrests. I've never heard of Nigerian Inspector General of Police leading his men to actually carry out a kind of an arrest and a raid, and actually leading from the front. There is a need to review our approach to policing in Nigeria. And modern policing means that if in Abuja business district, there is a police formation there, the community there should be able to know how much is budgeted to the police in that area, how many police do they have, and to be able to tell to the police it's only between 10 and 5 p.m. that we have problem with policing. We want you to redirect your policemen to those time. But you can't even have that kind of conversation with the police. They don't even have dialogues with the community to have that kind of engagement. So we're not talking about textbook policing. We're talking about modern policing. As somebody that have worked as a special constable in Kent that was seconded to Metropolitan Police and worked in the Office for Security and Counterterrorism in the UK, I'm not happy with the way Nigerian policing is. But we're hoping that under the new President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, that things will change. But it means that they need to get people involved in that conversation, even with the de-radicalization of individuals, just like this individual that was involved in the Trump issue. There's a lot of de-radicalization going on in Nigeria, but like we know, as the military, picking the people that are radicalized, the military de-radicalizing them, the military releasing them. There is no community input into that. So everything we do in Nigeria is upside down. I hope we change that approach and start looking at different approach and use the private security companies out there, people with expertise, people that have left, to improve our security infrastructure.
Thank you so much, security analyst Temitope Aludo, for reminding us again how much we need to take our security seriously as we continue to monitor updates and developments from the United States.
Thank you for having me.